Welcome to Young Money. I'm Nozi Pombandra, and this is CNBC Africa's freshest and youngest show. It's the show about us, the ones who want to go beyond the hustle, the ones who want to break the bank. Now today we're asking that big question: where does the smart money go? We're speaking to the head of research and development at Discovery Invest. His name is Craig Sher, and he's going to be telling us all about asset allocation, where to take your money for the highest return. But we're also speaking to the co-founder of Fixin Diaries. His name is Karabo Masopha, and he has started an initiative together with his brother that is based on the US idea of pimping one's ride, but these guys are pimping bikes. We're bringing you that conversation and a whole lot more. Now, earlier this week, I sat down with Craig Sher and we were having a conversation about asset allocation. In essence, how do I ensure that I invest my money in the right assets to make the best return? This is what Craig had to say. Young people, entrepreneurs, those in business, those in government and civil society possibly all have one thing in common. They want to know, where does the smart money go? Give us a sense of the lay of the land when it comes to choices around asset allocation.
Right, so asset allocation, just to start, is probably one of the most important decisions you can make when investing. Also, just to make the point that, you know, in terms of making money for young people isn't really a quick win. A lot of the ways to do it is really just to do the right thing over time in a sustainable way, and that typically is sort of your best bet of getting it right. In terms of asset allocation, which I suppose is the real question here. I mean, how do you allocate your money between different? You know, you're starting to make a bit of money. How do you save it over time in the right type of investments so that you get to a sustainable retirement? And I think that's the most important thing you can do is to get advice on how to do it. You know, financial services is a very complex world, particularly if you've never been in it. And really, it's very important to have advice in getting that. So
let me be cheeky and maybe get some free advice from you right now. So if I'm a young 20-something and I'm now beginning to start to think about wealth creation, where do I start, and which assets do you think are most suited for me?
Okay, so if you're young, I mean, as I say, the best thing you can do is get advice, and everybody's advice could be a little bit different. So everybody has different circumstances. They have a different amount that they can save each month, and they have a different retirement age, a different age that they're sort of targeting to retire. So when you're very young, typically you want to actually invest in things that are more risky, and the reason for that is because the more risky things tend to grow a lot faster. So we typically think of things like shares and equities being very risky things, you know, and then if you're more conservative, it's things like cash and money market, keep your money in a bank account. But when you're younger, keeping your money in cash as a savings vehicle is actually incredibly risky, because the reality is that cash is not going to grow enough over time to get to your retirement needs at the end. You should actually be more investing in things like shares, like equities, because those are the things that over the long term are much more likely to get you into a good position.
Shares and equities sometimes can be very daunting for young people because it just seems like a whole different animal. What are the safest ways to get into that risky space, if that makes sense?
The safest ways are really to do it through probably things like unit trust. So, you know, you could go the route of stock picking, where you would typically choose your individual shares and then you try to watch them over time. But a safer way of doing it is to choose an entire basket of shares, like a unit trust, and there's a manager behind that, and the manager is managing between the different shares over time, and he's watching it on an ongoing basis. And his whole life is dedicated to making sure that your retirement is, that your shares perform as best they can. So that's probably the best way to do it.
There's always a concern, of course, is how much do I pay for that particular service? So how much of what is being grown is actually being picked by my fund manager? What are some of the insights that you could share with young people as they begin to think about choosing that man or woman to look over the pot of gold?
Right, so fees are very important. I mean, you can just say that up front. The amount that you pay over time can have a very big impact on the amount that you actually get out in the end. But equally as important is things like going back to this idea of asset allocation, making sure you're investing in the right types of asset classes. And if you can choose someone who is able to manage over time between the different asset classes, then the fee you pay them could be well worth their expertise. And that's really the key. You know, having the right plan is really the difference between having a retirement where you're eating out of a silver spoon as opposed to, you know, in a soup kitchen in one of those Fixin soup spoons.
It's really interesting right now if we take a look at the global play and the kind of volatility that we're seeing in the markets, and we're hearing people saying this is a great time to buy, and others saying they just don't have the stomach for the volatility that we're seeing. Again, how do you read the market right now? And for a young person who's waking up to this idea now, what do you think that they should do?
So the key is not to panic. I mean, that's really the most important thing. You know, we see over the last couple of days, in fact, it's been incredibly volatile. It's pretty random out there, really, what would happen. But the key is that if you've got a long plan and you keep putting money in over time, then when the market falls and you're putting more money into it, you're actually buying when the market is very low. If the market falls and then you tend to pull your money out because you get scared, that's sort of the worst thing that you could possibly do. So at the moment, after the market has crashed, the best thing you can actually do is try to gather up as much money as you possibly can, put it into the market, and then wait for that recovery that should come later.
There's also the offshore conversation, you know, where people start getting exposed to equities, and then they get excited about the possibility of making even more money outside of South Africa. Basic insights and advice as to how you approach offshore investing.
I think it's exactly the same way as any other type of investing. I think trying to time the rand is a very, very difficult thing to do. I don't know many people that have ever got that right. So I think, as I say, just maintaining an ongoing basis of continually investing, continually putting money into the market is really what you want to be doing. When the rand is high, when the rand is low, you'll just be putting money in. Don't get, you know, don't sort of have this view that, you know, when the rand weakens, then all of a sudden you've got to go put all your money offshore. The reality is you're probably, again, buying at the wrong time, and then you'll be selling at the wrong time as well. So rather just don't try to time the rand, just allocate your money correctly to the right asset classes, and you should have a good retirement.
This is our Now We're Here segment, and we're catching up with Karabo Masopha, and he is, of course, the co-founder of Fixin Diaries. This is an awesome place that you're in, and you've got bikes everywhere. Is this purely on the back of the revenue that you're able to make, or is there a partnership agreement that's also in place?
Okay, you know what? We started in Soweto. We've got a workshop there. It's at my place. I converted our garage into a workshop. Then Puma is one of our official sponsors. They also assist us financially. Then how we also make our money, we do social rides. We hire bicycles, and we do servicing of bicycles.
So tell me about the social ride. What's the concept and the thinking behind social rides? How does that work?
Okay, social rides, basically it's about bringing creatives, you know, networking of creative in the environment of Soweto. Like we'll tour the streets of your Nelson Mandela House, Kliptown, and you know, it's about bringing people together. As we say, leave no homie behind.
Oh, is that your slogan? Yeah, leaving no homie behind.
That's our slogan, yes.
I like that. So let's talk about the growth of the business. I mean, this is obviously fantastic. 5 years from now, you and I are back in this particular shop. What are you going to be telling me? What's the story going to go like?
Okay, you know what? 5 years from now, what we're looking at, doing more collaborations with the corporates, and have like 60% of the working class cycling from and to work, since there's cycle lanes, you know, around the CBD and the Soweto, and maybe build one for the president. Oh,
fantastic. This is assuming we don't have the same president 5 years later, because that would be against the constitution. But let's talk a little bit about this idea of getting our corporates involved and getting South Africans to get into the culture of cycling to and from work. Do you get a sense that we're beginning to think that way, and we're beginning to realize that having a car isn't necessarily the best mode of transport, and that there are cheaper and more funkier ways of doing it?
You know what? What we're doing is we're promoting a healthy lifestyle. It's an awareness, you know, fitness at the same time. So, yeah.
It certainly can be done.
It can be done.
Let's talk about partnerships around money. Because if you're going to be taking this to the next level and you're influencing the way South Africans get to and from work, how much more money do you need to do that? And do you think that's the kind of money you can make with the customer base that you have now, or you're going to have to go raise money somewhere else? Okay, you know what? For now, we do a lot of collaborations with the creatives that we think they're on the same page with us. That's how we make our money. But through sponsorship, and maybe selling some of these bikes, yeah, we make some of the money. You make some of the money. Give me your personal experience of coming from Soweto, coming from the garage, and eventually finding yourself in the creative hub in Johannesburg. What was that journey like? Was it something that was easy for you, or were there significant difficulties that led you to this place? You know what, it's just like any other business. It's not easy opening a business. It was one of our challenges, but we learn as we grow. You know, you learn through your mistake, day by day at the time, and wow, here we are. It's not even like 2 years, but yeah. Not even 2 years, but I'm sure even in that time frame, there are some lessons that you've learned. I mean, you've said yourself that you learn from particular mistakes. What was the one big mistake that you think, had I not made this, my business could be on another level by now? Okay, maybe reinvesting the money back to the business. Did you not reinvest? Yeah. You spent? Spent, you know, material and stuff, yeah. And so reinvesting is important. And so also give me a sense of how big is the team, how many people are working on the bikes, how many lives are you touching in essence? Okay, we're a team of 4. Okay, my brother, he's the builder, because he did our first build, which we sold to a friend, Rendani Mukeli. I've got Hussein, who sources out business, and Ayanda Moholi, who does our social media. Let's talk about social media, because getting your brand top of mind in the eyes of consumers is obviously going to be very important. How have you been making sure that people are aware of who you are and that you're attracting eyeballs to the business? Okay, you know what, we started a movement whereby there was a lack of cyclists, female cyclists. So what we did, we came up with a concept whereby we said it's a branch and ride strictly for women, which grew and it became big via one of the social networks. That's really interesting, because you're speaking about women now. How many of your customers coming through the door are women? You know what, we host month-end rides, which are women ride, whereby we teach women how to cycle. It's only restricted to women. Yeah. And the number is growing. Our last ride that we had, there were about approximately 50 women that cycled. That's a big number. It is, yeah. That's a big number. And I know that you guys are hosting a ride this evening. Talk to us about the numbers. How many people are you expecting? Where are you taking them? And are they using some of the bikes from the shops, or do they come with their own bikes? Look, you know what? You can come with your own bike. It's a social ride, you know what I mean? It's for close friends. It's a social ride. I'm expecting about 20 people. Yeah. Yeah. So it's certainly going to be awesome. Karabo, it's been an absolute pleasure meeting up with you, and I'm certainly hoping that I can get my ride pimped up in navy and blue. I don't know about paying top dollar for a Rolls Royce version, but 3.5, I think maybe we can stomach. Guys, thank you so much for making the time to join us once again. We'll see you same time next week. But remember that if you want the Young Money crew to come to you, just tweet us your Young Money question, and we will, of course, bring the best experts into the show. And, of course, the ultimate aim is to ensure that you build your empire and you continue to break the bank. Until next time, let's keep it rich, let's keep it real.